Hi, Coach Jeff here today to talk about a very important topic that I love to discuss. And it is a question that I always get, and here's what it comes down to. What house should I buy as an investor? What product should I be flipping? And what's the safest, most profitable, best thing I should be in? What's the avatar? In other words, what am I looking for as an investor? The answer is always the same. It is first-time homebuyer stock. What you're looking for is to buy and fix a property or buy and flip a property that a first-time homebuyer will buy. Okay, what's that look like? That's a great question. Before we get into that, like and subscribe for this video, please. I would appreciate it, and my producer will stay off my case. All right. She's looking at me over here right now, but anyway, let's get into this. There's neighborhood rankings go from A to F. A is the top, highest end, most expensive houses, generally have the biggest yards, a lot of accoutrements, pools, jacuzzis, things like that. The F, not so much. They tend to be at the other end. We would call them, the ghetto, the war zone, that type of thing. And there are appropriate times to be in both those markets. Everything else falls in between. B is kind of used to be called upper middle class, lower upper class type neighborhood. A C would be kind of average, more of a blue collar type neighborhood. A D is not so much. And, that spectrum of A to F, there are periods of time during a real estate cycle when it's good to be involved in the A market, and there's times when it's good to be involved in the F market. There's opportunistics. But as you get into the downturn in a real estate economy, like we're dealing with right now, the markets are slowing down, prices are dropping, it's taking longer to sell, interest rates are high, there's less first-time home buyers. You get it's a continuum. You've got A out here and F here, and the thing you're looking for is the B or C product in the middle. And those types of avatars last in all cycles. Good markets, down markets, flat markets, it doesn't matter. As long as you're going after first-time homebuyer housing stock and you're involved in that, you'll always have a job. Now, is it as profitable as selling a $2 million house in Los Angeles for $3 million? Not at all. Is it have the cash flow of a war zone house that you buy for $20 but gets $900 a month? Not even close. But it's safe, and it always has a buyer. The government will always support first-time home buyers. So specifically, what does that property look like? Well, generally you're looking for a 3-2 stick-built, brick-built house, not generally mobile homes, not generally manufactured homes, but something that is probably in the middle part of the city. It would be, like I said, it's more of a blue-collar type neighborhood to a lower middle class, upper middle class neighborhood, that type of thing. Typically, the house price is below the median for the area, at or below the median for the area. So if the high end of the houses are $1 million, the low end are $20,000, and the average price is $400, this might be between $300 and $400. That might be your first-time home buyer stock. And typically, a couple will buy as their first-time home. They'll come out of an apartment, they'll come out of a rental home, and they'll move into this. And there's lots of first-time home buyer incentives from the state and the federal government, depending on where you live. And these are generally the easiest. The expectations of the owners of these houses is not super high. Yes, they watch Flip This House, Flip or Flop. They watch these shows and they see what these things look like, and they're great and all that. But they understand that as first-time home buyers, they're not going to have access to all the amenities and things that you'd have in the higher end homes. So they're their expectations are a little diminished compared to some of the others in the marketplace. But they always want these homes, and there's always buyers, even at 7 or 8% market. Now keep in mind, there are areas of the country where the interest rate is irrelevant. There are markets where it is literally cheaper to get a mortgage at 8% interest than it would be to rent a house. So for example, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, you can rent a house for $1,500. You can buy the same house with an 8% mortgage for $1,200. It's way cheaper to buy it than it is to rent it. And so first-time home buyers are plentiful in markets like that. And it doesn't matter if the rate is 6%, 2%, 8%, there's still going to be plenty of first-time home buyers. So once again, when markets shrink, and the way to look at this is when markets are up, the A stuff is good. When markets are way at the bottom, maybe the lower ends are good, but always it goes through this middle section. and the middle section being the first-time home buyer stock. So that is your golden house. That is your safe investment. And if you can focus most of your business around first-time home buyer stock, you're going to be a lot better shape. More buyers, more money, more government programs for down payment assistance, more ways to skin a cat in terms of seller financing. And typically these homes tend to be a little bit older and they tend to have some history with them. And so they have some deferred maintenance when you buy them. So typically you can buy them cheaper because they're older. A lot of times they're currently habitated or they were recently habitated by somebody who may have owned them 30 years. A lot of them are free and clear. If you're a rehabber, you can buy these things cheap because the sellers are either dead and their heirs are selling, or they are to the point where they understand they've done nothing to the house for years. And so you can usually get a pretty good deal on those, especially in a declining economy like we've got now. It's a good, safe place to be in. This is basically all that in my rehab business that we're doing right now. We're doing first-time home buyer stock. Very rarely do we do high-end stuff, and we never do the very low-end stuff. And I've learned my lesson from doing both of those, but the first-time home buyer deal is good. So I would focus my business on that. There's a lot of seller finance options in that piece of the business. There is a lot of great rehab options in that piece of the business. And there's, a lot of upgrades to do if you're in the rehab side of that thing. But a lot of those upgrades are cheap to put in, and they provide you a better return going out. They have a more higher perceived value, that type of thing. Let's just briefly cover before we end up our video here with the kinds of things that are necessary when you do that kind of house. They're looking for a good kitchen, something that's recently been rehabbed. Doesn't have to be travertine floors and Italian marble countertops, that type of thing. It just needs to be nice, new. If you can do granite, great. Doesn't have to be marble. It can be something composite that looks nice. The floors can be, the laminated vinyl flooring, LVF, that type of thing. Doesn't have to be actual hardwood. You can do carpets through the house. As long as those things are new, carpet and paint, brand new. The roof and all of the mechanicals need to be in good shape. They need to be workable. And if not replaced, then at least upgraded to the point where they're in good shape. New kitchens, new bathrooms, and that's about it. Make sure the yard looks nice. You don't spend a lot of money on these properties because you're not putting high-end finishes into these deals. All right, so that is your ideal market. That's the product I would look for. I would keep my eyes and ears open for that, and you will always have a job as a first-time homebuyer investment specialist.